or wheeling or trying to get the babies asleep. I think nearly every year my mother was pregnant. You know, it wasn't long. She had one baby. They weren't even walking when she was ready to have another one. And no, it was cruel work, hard work for a young child. I hardly ever got out to play because I was always helping my mother to take care of the younger children. And I was only a child myself.
How
Very difficult to live your life like that. Your childhood is gone. You don't have a childhood.
how did your mother and your natural father meet?
I'm not sure. As far as I know, from what I've been told, they met at a crossroad dancing. They used to go to dances on the roads. I know it's difficult for us to understand that. But years ago, I think people used to meet on the crossroads. It was crossroads dancing in Ireland anyway. So that's what I've been told.
And what was the attitude of the church?
The attitude of the church is how, I mean, I really do get annoyed when I start having to explain this. The attitude of the church is they couldn't have cared less as long as we were little Catholics and we were going into Mass. It didn't matter if we looked half dressed, half fed, pale, maybe dirty even. It didn't bother them as long as we filled their church up and that there was a little bit of money or whatever we had was given to them. I don't think they cared. To be quite honest with you, I really don't think they cared because they were adults. They had to see and they knew what was going on. So why cover it up?
And what about school? What was school like for you?
School in them days was quite tough. You had nuns that was very harsh, not very kind, harsh, but you know, I still like to get into school to get away from my home. It was different. I seen the children, and we might speak a little bit, and the nuns would speak to us, even though there was harsh times and the cane, the beat you with the cane and things like that. But still, as we got older, a little bit older, it got easier, and it was nearly nicer to go to school than remain in the home.
Beverly, you've not said anything yet, and thanks for coming on. Do you have any questions about Maureen's early childhood?
Yeah, I wanted to find out, you know, this is based on my own memories because Maureen and I share a very similar background. Do you remember at all, you know, when you were little, if you used to wait and watch and listen for the footsteps? Because that I recall, I see you smiling. For me, I recall, and I can't close doors to this day because I won't allow the door to be closed just in case. And even though all these years later, there's no danger out there. But did you have anything like that where you used to watch and wait and be vigilant? Could you share with us, please?
Yes, I did. I watched, especially when my mother wasn't in the house, because that's the abuse used to start with me. The very minute my mother would disappear, I would just shake. I'd take a fit of shakes and I couldn't stop. Yeah, the footsteps and there'd be hard shoes in them days, so they'd last. And they used to have these tips on them. And you could hear the noise of him coming. And it was just awful. And he'd come down into the bedroom, or if I was up in the kitchen, and the other children would be sent out to play. Yes, they are horrible memories, and they will never leave my mind. Yes, I don't sleep at night with my bedroom door closed. It's always opened.
Did he say anything to you to try and excuse his behaviour?
No, he never spoke about, and all he used to say, this is private between me and you don't say nothing to anybody. If you do, you won't be able to see your granny anymore. You won't be allowed to see her. That's the only words he would speak to me. Other than that, he never spoke to me all that much. He was a very cold, callous man. And he smoked a pipe, earned more tobacco. And he'd send me down to the pub in Carlow to get his tobacco for him. And I just hate pipes. I can't bear the smell of tobacco, of the pipe tobacco. You'll always have them triggers. Them triggers is going to be always there, but you do learn over the years to deal with them, so that you can have some sort of a normal life. He's horrible breath. The smell of the pipe from his breath was used to just horrible. Yeah, you have all them memories, and I don't think they ever leave. Maybe for a while, and you work on yourself, and I mean, I'm trained to do that now, to work on myself, because I'm a druid, and that has helped me quite a lot. And when I get them flashbacks, I have to think of something that's good in my life and something better, and I do that. I never pull bedroom curtains either. I just leave curtains open. My son often knocked on the door before he'd enter in. Now, he wouldn't open it because it'd be open, but he'd still knock. And he'd say, Mommy, how can you sleep with your curtains open? The daylight is coming in the morning. Why don't you close them? You'll have a better sleep. But I didn't say anything. I just, I said, I like them opened. So we do little
silly little things. Yes. It's better to have them open because you can see everything that's around you. That's why we have them open.
That's why. I know. A counselor taught me that, and a doctor and a psychiatrist taught me once I didn't know why I did it, but she said it's so you can see everything, that you're the fear, if they're closed, that you mightn't be able to see what's going on. So
a few of the viewers are asking.
Sorry, do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, you got a few of the viewers are asking.
Did you hear that phone ringing?
How did he avoid detection by your mother? A few of the viewers are asking.
Did my mother know? I don't think so. And even though people say to me, is it that you're not able to deal with it? Maybe. I don't know. I know that she was heartbroken that morning that I went away. I know she cried. I know I could see her pain. She left him. And to leave a husband in them years here in Ireland, south of Ireland, would have been a very brave thing for her to do. I don't think so. Maybe that there's a part of me, I don't want to believe that she knew. And my honest answer, I don't know.
Maureen, do you have a light on in that room you could turn on? Because I think it's gone a bit dark wherever you are.
Okay, hold on.
Thanks. And viewers, if you're watching, the link to Maureen's book is in the description box. That's the UK Amazon link. Girl in the Tunnel, Maureen Sullivan. Yes, there we go. Yeah, much better.
Okay.
Yeah. Maureen, how long was your mother with that evil man for?
Well, I know I was only about a year old when my mother met him, because there's only 2 years between me and the first child that she had in the second family. So I was just about a year old when she met him. And then I suppose they married not long. To be quite honest, I don't know the full length of time, and I doubt it. If I asked, I would have been told the truth. So I don't, to be honest, I don't know.
So did she have a number of children with him?
10.
10 with him.
Yes,
Wow.
three in the first family and 10 in the second. Yep.
And she broke up with him after you were taken away?
Yes. She told me that she would leave him one day. Now, I don't know. Would you believe that I've never even tried to work it out? Did she have more kids after that? I don't know. I never even looked at it. I think she did. But she left him and she rang. I was in England at this time and she sent me over. She made a phone call to me and she said, I've left him. But I said, look, it's not going to do me any good now. But if you're happy and you needed to get away from him, good for her. And I do admire her for that, because it would have been very, very difficult for her to do that in this country in them years. That would have been in the 70s, the late 60s, early 70s, that she left him. And that would have been very, very difficult for her. So I always admired her for it, as long as she was happy. I did come to see him, because when he was dying, he kept asking about me, and my family was ringing over and saying that their father was looking to see me. And I had to really think hard about going back to see him. And I did. Me and my brother decided, because he gave my brother an awful life as well. And we decided we'll come and see. Maybe he needs to say sorry. So we came to see him, and I'll never forget that last meeting that I had with him before he died. I went in on my own into the room and I said to him, why did you treat me so badly? Why did you do to me what you did? I was only a little child. I'll never forget his answer. I wanted to physically get sick. He just said, what's the matter with you? I was only getting you ready for the outside world. No sorry. No, I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for the pain. I'm sorry. Just so cold and callous. He sat in that bed and he dying. And I'm talking about a religious man, a man that went to mass every day, a man that said the rosary every night in our home. To me, that is shocking. That finished me with religion for all times.
That is absolutely shocking. I can't believe what I just heard. So,
Yeah.
Maureen, how old were you when you were taken? And what was that process like? What was that day like for you? Can you remember the details?
I remember the man came in a laundry van. It drove into my school, and my mum brought me down with the little suitcase, a tattery little suitcase. I had very little going with me. And she just said to the nun, can I get a pencil case for Maureen? And keep her there, please. Don't let her go till I come back. And that's how I know that it would have been Children's Allowance Day. So it was a Tuesday that I went to New Ross. The pencil case, I suppose I didn't realise, you see, in my head, I didn't think I was going to this bad place and I was going to be treated like that. I really believed in my heart that I was going to get a good education, because that's what the nun told me. She said, you'll get a good education and you can come back to Carlow and you can hold your head high. But when I got out of that laundry van in New Ross, I knew that this is not going to work out. This is going to be a cruel, cruel place, because I knew the way the nuns looked me up and down. It was horrendous. The way they looked at me like if I was like a piece of dirt. I wasn't a human being. And I just said to him, this is my pencil case. Please let not, because they said, we need to take your case. So I said, well, please don't let nothing happen to my pencil case, because my mammy just bought it for me. I never had a pencil case before. That was the first pencil case that I ever had. And the laundryman was a nice man. And he said to the nuns, he said, that child played with that pencil case, he said, the whole way from Carlo. He said she never stopped once playing with it. So they just looked at him and smiled, nodded their head and smiled. And he said goodbye to me, and I said goodbye to him. And then I was taken in and shown. Not that I want a cup of tea. Not was I thirsty. Was I hungry? Nope. I was showed all around the laundry. These old ladies was all around me. One poor woman thought that I was her daughter. So she must have had a child taken off her, but I didn't realise it at the time. And I thought, oh, well, they're just showing me where they do the washing of our clothes. And no, this was to continue every day. I asked them where was my classroom. They wouldn't answer me. I asked where was my pencil case. Every day I'd ask them, and I'd get no answers. I think that was the cruel side of it, very cruel, not to get an answer. That was, it was just awful.
How old were you when you arrived, and what did the laundry look like?
I was 12 when I arrived. I was just gone 12 in the August, and we went back to school in September. So it was the first week in September that I went to NUNS, 1964. Now, to try to say it was 65, no, it was, but a judge ruled that out and said that, yes, I was right. And they had me marked into school while I was in NUNS. So they're very devious. They're very cunning people. The laundry was a horrible place. There was the sorting room, there was the washroom, and then there was the ironing room. And I was given the job of feeding the sheets into a big roller. They called it a colander. And the man on the farm had to make me a stool to stand on. He made it out of an orange box. And he measured me up to make the box for me to stand up on, so I could reach the colander to feed the sheets in. And pillowcases, and that's how they dried them and ironed them. So you'd be at that all day long. First you'd scrub a floor or something like that before you go to mass. Then come back, have your breakfast. Then you go to work all day. And then at night time, clever enough, our recreation was doing rosary beads, iron sweaters. It all depends on the orders that they had. If they had a big order from America for iron sweaters, we'd be doing them for maybe 2 weeks. Then if there was an order from around all the religious places around the world for rosary beads, we'd have to make hundreds of rosary beads would have to be made. So it was work. It wasn't recreation time. It was very hard work. You'd be watched 24/7. There was a nun on full watch in the laundry. There was another nun full watch on your recreation time. So you couldn't talk. We weren't allowed to speak to each other. Now, we did get the odd little word in, announced to the nuns. You know, they'd whisper something to you so that they wouldn't be heard and they wouldn't be seen. And it'd be like, what are you doing here? Where are you from? What's your name? And of course, you have to start getting used to the name that you're given there, which mine was Frances. So I got used to that eventually. So you'd say to everyone, they say, what's your name? You'd say Frances, if new women come in. Now, there was very seldom that new women come in, but there did a few. And then some of them would disappear real quick. You wouldn't see them again. I don't know what that was about. I think some of them might have been pregnant, or maybe they were taken out to have their children. This is what we found out in latter years, that that's where they went.
Can you remember being taken to your sleeping quarters that first night, and what was that experience like?
Indeed I do, because it was very confusing. I was taken over to St. Aidan's, and this was the cruel, really cruel part of it all. And this is what was so confusing. I was taken over to St. Aidan's, and there was all other little girls in the dormitory, but we weren't allowed to speak to each other. But I was the first up in the morning. That night, I tried to look at the girls, and they would look over at me. One little girl was going, like, trying to call me, and she was going, psst, psst, like that, but the nun heard her. See, we were watched at night as well. There was no time that you weren't being watched. They just kept control over you. That's what it was, control. So I wasn't allowed to talk to the girls. But the next morning, I got up very early. The nun nudged me and told me to get up. And she just went, shh, that I was to make no noise. And I got dressed and downstairs and over to the Magdalene Laundry. And cleaned a corridor over there, and then brought to Mass, and then brought back and had my breakfast, and then into the laundry for the day. And that's the first experience of my first day of working. And then the man measuring me up and making the stool for me to stand on. Yeah, it's very confusing, because I'm sleeping where the little girls were. I'm supposed to be going to school. I'm over here working in this laundry. I'm not allowed to ask. I'd say, excuse me, sister. And there's no sisters here. We're mothers. You call us mother. Because Good Shepherds was never called sister. That's their name, is Mother. Mother Teresa, Mother John, whatever. And then I think I was left in St. Aidan's for some time, and then I was brought over completely to the Magdalene Laundry. I slept with the women then, and that was it till I left there.
How many people were sleeping around you, and did you feel safe while you were sleeping, or did you feel vulnerable?
I didn't feel safe, because there was I don't know how to describe it. There was like a little door in the wall where they used to open it, and they'd look in. And as I say, we were watched 24/7. We were watched so much, it was very sick, actually, and very uncomfortable. You never felt, I don't know what words to put on it. You just didn't feel that you were living, that you were frightened all the time. Were you going to do anything wrong? Am I going to say anything wrong? Am I going to look in the wrong way? And you're not, it's like if you're not living your life. I can't find words for it. It was so cruel. It's hard to find the words for it. This little kind of like a wooden thing would go across, and the nun was looking in. So you'd shrivel up in the bed, and you were terrified. And after you go to sleep, because you're so exhausted from the day's work, and you're up very early in the morning. So there was no problem with the sleeping. You would sleep because you're just so tired.
Did they have a punishment system? And did they punish you for anything that you can remember?
Yeah, well, they were very good. The most of their punishment was the 2 fingers on the the cross of their big beads. They had a big cross on their beads. And they would catch you with their 2 fingers and they would dig it into you. And that is very painful. You kind of go up on your tippy toes from the pain of it. It'd be into your back, into your sides. It could be into the top of your arm. They dig it into your arm. You would have bruises on you. And it was very, very painful. They would put you standing in the corridor. I've seen some of the women stand in the corridor. They were being punished for maybe speaking to somebody. Mostly as if you spoke to each other, you got punished. I didn't speak to anyone. It's just one day. I know I had creepy crawlies in my